Welcome back, everyone. It is time for a Pounds for Purrs workout. Today, we've got a new cycle of training, new phase, and basically what we're doing here is we are going back to the 10x5, so 50 total reps, but the weight is different. So we went in the first cycle using the 10x5, increased weight, went to the 10x4, increased weight a little bit after that for the 10x3. Now we are resetting back to the 10x5 and using the same weights that we did during the second cycle. So slightly heavier than the first time around, and this is the way that you adapt and accommodate the weights. So that's a really nice gradual undulating periodization type of approach, and I quite enjoy it. I like it a lot. I think it's a very good idea. That way you are not only using progressive overload, but you are taking volume into consideration. Now, I got to the gym relatively late. I didn't want to get there in the afternoon, but lo and behold, I didn't get started until about 2:30, and I began on the Stairclimber for 5 minutes and 15 seconds. Just did 16 flights, and that was at a speed level of 5. So, nice, easy, casual warm-up before I went to the T-bar row, and I did that as my first lift of the day. Lately, it's been kind of going back and forth, but today I just felt like going to the T-bar row, and I also went to a landscape mode, or basically 16:9 widescreen. You get to see a little bit more of the exercise, you get to see a little bit more of the bar and the landmine attachment. Honestly, I might keep this. I don't know that for sure, but I might keep this instead of using the portrait mode where you kind of only see me and the weight. This way you see the bar, see how it kind of swivels up, and why that landmine attachment is so good. But T-bar row sets were fine. I did go gradual and start off light with the warm-up sets. So basically what I did was a set of 10 with 70 pounds, a set of 8 with 95, a set of 6 with 120, and here's the 10x5 with 145. So all in all, a good start off point, and keeping 90 seconds of rest in between sets, and that's a constant. That will always be the case. Maybe given the exception of maybe peak week, or whenever I do peak in this program, maybe I'll add a little bit more time, but you try to stick to 90 seconds as much as possible. And I'd also like to give a shout out to the woman in the background. I've been seeing her here and there, not all the time, but here and there at the gym. She always does great stuff. She does a nice little like celebratory dance between exercises, or maybe she's just having fun or listening to good music. But I kind of like that vibe. If I wasn't so shy, I'd probably do the same thing. but really great woman, working out well, looking fantastic, doing great exercises with good form and technique, so that's always worth pointing out and recognizing it. So for the accessory, I was half tempted to go to a pronated pendlay row just because for the program as a primary mover I've been using the reverse grip. So I thought about doing a pronated grip, but I also did have to take into consideration the fact that tomorrow I'm squatting and deadlifting. So it wouldn't be a good idea to fatigue the lower back, which would certainly affect performance on the lower body day. So instead of another bent over row, I went to a pull down station. That way I got support, I could sit down, and also change planes of motion and use a vertical pull. For that, I did elect on the reverse grip, so I used an underhand grip, get a little bit of biceps in there, as well as focusing a little bit more on lower lats. And I started off with a warm-up set with 150. Easy, no problem. That's a good warm-up weight to start off with. And then went to 180 for 8. I could have used that for working weight or done progressive sets, but I was feeling pretty good, and I jumped to 200 pounds. So that's what I used for the 3x8. Certainly manageable, definitely comfortable, maybe safe for the last rep or two is when it got challenging, but nowhere near a grind. I didn't even really slow down much. It was just getting to that point where, okay, that's a nice place to be without having to grind my gears or try to max out and go to failure. I didn't want to go anywhere near that, so I certainly could have added weight to it, but I got enough stimulation and activation without having to do that. So 200, nice, comfortable, got it done, and that's really all that counts. So here's the last set of the row, and I really do like using this interlocking finger grip just because it doesn't require a handle, so I don't have to look for anything. And it definitely, if the V-bar were ever to be used, then I'd have no choice but to go to a different grip. And it just makes things simple, but also I do like the emphasis on the middle of the back. Okay, incline bench. Using it as a second exercise today. And I did what I did last time when I used the T-bar row first, which is a set of 8 with 95 pounds, then a set of 6 with 135, and here we have the 10 by 5, 90 seconds of rest in between sets with 195. All in all, perfectly fine, good sets, good reps, feeling pretty good about the volume. The weight's not an issue at all. This is sub 200 pounds. It's not an issue. It's really more of the volume is where the challenge would ever be. So at this point, it's very comfortable in terms of getting the volume, even to an exercise that I haven't really concentrated on much for quite a while. So I got to about, I'd probably say about set 9, and then that's when I could start to feel the onset of fatigue beginning to kick in. It wasn't something to the point where I had to worry about any reps because I knew I wasn't going to miss anything. So it was just a matter of that's when I could feel just the beginning of fatigue. And again, you're not going to see it. It won't be apparent at all. It'll just look like I'm going through the reps. But on the inside, I could feel, okay, especially as a secondary exercise for the day and not doing it first like I did in the beginning, I could just feel towards set 9 and 10, and not really until like the last rep or two where I just felt, okay, it's just beginning to kick in, but not setting in definitely. And so while you'll see these reps pretty much done at more or less the same speed, that's when I could just start to feel it. So form stayed fine, technique stayed fine, bar path stayed fine, so there's no worries here. One thing you probably have noticed is I'm not doing a long pause. When I go down to 10 by 3, then sure, I can have more fun because it's not as many reps. But with the 10 by 5, get the volume done, get the reps done, and certainly there are stoppages. I'm not bouncing anything. I'm not going for quick reps or touch and goes or anything like that. So there is a stoppage, for sure. There's an undoubted stoppage on the chest. It's just that I'm not doing long pauses, although there are some reps where I do pause longer than others. But in general, with the 10 by 5, just get the reps done. That's your main concern. Of course, that doesn't mean cheat anything, but get them done, make them decent reps, make them good reps, and go from there. Okay, so when it came to the accessory for chest, I kind of went in with the plan of doing a flat bench press, but I figured, you know what? I've had this sort of theme, this running theme of pulling out exercises that I haven't done in years, in a long time, and so today was no different. And I went over to the cable crossover stations and did a high to low cable crossover. And this used to be one that I loved doing when I would do more bodybuilding style workouts, but ever since I went to more of a simple, almost even minimalist approach to working out, there's just no room for it. And even if there was, I could probably choose 2-3 other options instead. But today I figured, why not just throw in the cable crossover, just put a little bit more emphasis on the chest and not have to worry about pressing or tricep blockouts or anything like that. So I did a cable crossover, kept it really light, and believe me, there was no way I could have gone heavy with it after this much volume in bench press and having done 3 exercises prior. So I began with a set of 8 with 60 pounds, that's 30 on each side. Felt easy, so that's good. I didn't have any doubt about technique. I remember how to do crossovers, whether it's high to low, low to high, or just straight across. And so it was just kind of just easing into it, more or less. Then I went to 80 pounds for 8. Same kind of idea, very similar to the pull down. I could have used it as a very conservative working weight, but I didn't want to be that conservative with it, so I did bump it to 100 pounds or 50 on each side for the 3x8. First set, very comfortable, no problems whatsoever. Second set, it just started to get challenging at the end, and then the third set, I definitely felt it. Nowhere near failure or anything like that, so it was still manageable, but I could definitely feel on the last set, I was feeling pretty good. I was feeling pretty good, and I don't think I could have added much weight after that. Definitely not 20 pounds, maybe 10, without sacrificing form. So all in all, it was a good day. It really was. Still a little bit later than I would have liked to have been at the gym, but hey, what are you gonna do? So tomorrow I'm going to squat, deadlift, same idea for 10 by 5 with 90 seconds of rest in between sets, and using the same weights that I used for the second cycle. Same thing will go with the weighted dip and the reverse grip row, and then from there I'll drop down to a 10 by 4 with the third cycle's weights, and then add new weight for the 10 by 3 after that, and that's the plan. So I hope everybody is doing well. I hope you're all taking care, staying safe, of course, and if you're in the States, especially somewhere that's cold, hopefully you're staying warm. And that's all I got. Okay, everybody, remember, adopt, don't chop.